Oh. Let's go now. All right. Interesting. Discord open. Oh, that's nice. Nice. Check that out. Okay. I am jumping back into our lazyhost.com fictional insecure web host, capture the flag, that is running on the microcontrollers. If you don't know what that means, if you happen to be watching this but don't know what that means, then check out the stream from yesterday where you can learn more about this project. For now, I have a few things I want to work on. A couple kind of finishing touches, I think, like, wow, yeah, I'm just getting going right now. I don't even have anything open yet. Couple finishing touches, well, things I consider finishing touches, I guess, like, kind of obscuring the flags inside the code. So, like, the way the kind of game is intended to be played is through the web app. So you would be using your browser and your developer tools, and maybe something like Postman or curl or something like that is kind of like plan A for the player to use. If the player were to just look in the Python code, they could also kind of find all of the flags, which I think is actually kind of an interesting secondary way to play, as like, instead of kind of going straight on through the front door, so to speak, at the web application, it's kind of an interesting idea to kind of have a second layer of like, okay, now do like analysis on the Python code, which is probably pretty easy since it's only 200 lines. Some of the flags do come from other files in the static files that you can discover while you're kind of poking around in the web app, so you'd have to look in there as well. But I think I would like to at least kind of take a step or two, maybe a couple baby steps, towards obfuscating the flags in the code so that there's not necessarily as many just plain text flags in the Python code, so that way if you were looking through the Python code, you'd have to kind of follow at least a breadcrumb or two in order to put together what the string is. So maybe we'll do like some kind of reversal or some kind of basic encoding scheme or something. There's a few different ways we can do it, so I'll probably do a little bit of each. But another thing I want to work on is encrypting the database file. Right now the database file is plain text. But ultimately, I do want to have that be encrypted, and if we can, what I would like to do is have it be encrypted with a key that is, accidentally, quote-unquote, accidentally left in the static folder, which the user will get access to if they find a special page that gives them access to it, accidentally again. That's kind of the goal, is like, I'm hoping you can find the key there and then also be able to find the copy of the encrypted database, download it, use the key to decrypt it, and then you'll find all the data that's in the database, which includes another one of the flags. Oops. I used to see if I keep this up. I may switch browsers back. I'm not used to using this browser. Into the habit of alt-tabbing to the right one here. And I think what I want to use, you could potentially see I was playing around a little bit with public key, private key, like RSA encryption, but I think we want actually something different. think we want this. I didn't know was built into the core, but it is. Oh yeah, did this code use this? Oh, look. Oops. Let me take a closer look at this one as well. Let me do that. This code use AES. I know there was, I think this has hashing. 256 with hashlib. We have hashlib too. Then bin ASCII to base 64. Gotcha. So no AES in that one. So that's what, I mean, this code here, hashlib to like SHA-256 to hash some value. This is how the password should be stored in the database. Ideally with some salt actually added as well. But lazyhost.com doesn't do things that way. Encrypt and decrypt. Okay, so we can have a readable buffer. Okay. One of these is not susceptible to this, I think. Hexlify. CTR mode. I think we want to do CTR mode if we can, because that means there's no 16-byte, if I'm understanding this. So let's grab this. Just call it encryptdb for now. Paste this. I want to do the, what was it? CTR, I think, right? Yeah. And then I think that means we should be able to have a key that's any size and some data that is also any size, not just 16 bytes or multiples of 16 bytes. Bytes. Does that work? Oops, we will need to import that or else it certainly will not work. And by work, I mean do anything because it won't run. I wonder if there could ever be tab completion for this. That would be so nice. Oh, okay. Interesting. But it does say encrypt into. Maybe -7? 7 is on creating this. He must be 16, 24, or 32 bytes long. Maybe this is the data, I guess? Encrypt. This is the data. Yeah, buffer must be 16 bytes. Buffer must be a multiple of 16 bytes. NB equal length? What does that mean? Length. Buffer. Multiple of 16 bytes and be equal. As the key or, well, but the key has to be, I don't know, equal length to what? I'm not sure. But that one. So I guess the data, that's what we want, because our data is not going to be 32 bytes. Our data is going to definitely be more than that. So, but I guess our key does still need to be. Totally mixed the hell out of myself with YouTube ads today. Had the thought, and I shouldn't have had the thought, but I had the thought like, it seems like the YouTube ads have backed off a little bit because for a few days they seemed kind of excessive. Sure enough. Got them back in between like every video or something. But excessive again. What do we do here? So we've got our 16-byte key. We've got our data that's more than 16 bytes now. So does that one work? So let's start this and run it again. Import encrypt db. Okay. So it executed, but I did not output anything. Turns out. I guess this was meant to run in REPL. So we can't run it again without shift. Okay. Does it get any bigger if you keep adding stuff? Have like a space at the beginning. It does get longer. Do we need it to be the hex one? What if we only just have it like this? Is that bytes or? Well, really, I guess what I care about is decrypting. What does it need to be in order to decrypt it? Decrypt into. What if we don't know the length? I mean, we have to make a buffer that's big enough, but how do we know what's big enough? Is the length of the encrypted one big enough to store the unencrypted one? I guess it must be, right? Be nice if there was sample code that went with this. Be nice if, yeah, honestly, yeah, because this gives you encrypt but no decrypt. That might be a nice to try and add. Yeah, I suspect we are not gonna want the hex version, probably. I'm thinking we would probably want the just bytes. So then we would save the bytes into a file, then later on we read the bytes from a file, make a buffer of a certain size that can store the decrypted one called decrypt into with the bytes from our file and our buffer. Let's try the second half of that. So we could print, that's gonna print, which like, I don't know, there might be, I don't know if it might not be able to show. I don't know how it's gonna work if it bytes, maybe that's why it's hexalify. But then later, let's make a script buffer. And I guess I'm gonna go with length of output. Let's see if that works. Cipher is already set up in this case, so decrypt into with the input from output and the output to the decrypt buffer. Print decrypt buffer with the parentheses in the correct locations instead. And I surely don't have that copied anymore. Probably not legible. The decimal representation of binary data. We would need to get it to a string, I presume. We started with a byte string. We want to try to get back to a byte string. So how do we go from byte array to byte string? Bytes. Skeptical, but okay. Okay. I mean, it worked, I guess, because now it's a byte string and not a byte array, but obviously it's not legible data either. Is the input expecting... Is byte array bytes or memory view? It is currently a byte array. I mean, it's not expecting the hex version. Hex version, I presume, was there mostly just to make it slightly more human adjustable. A view string? Okay, yeah, I'm into this. Their date? 2022, last year, January? The thing is, I did not even have the IV string. I don't know why. Test only mode and no IV. Convert that into hex. Decode that into a string for us to return. Easy to save in the database in the file. So they still are doing the hex version. The descript takes what? So we go byte array, get that, we get our IV, we get our input, which is, yeah, going through unhexilify. they have anything else cool? Sometimes if I find random cool stuff on GitHub, I like to see if they have other cool stuff. Right pay. Go I2C RFID stuff. Only doing some interesting stuff. Unicorn. I think I have a unicorn hat. Isn't that a Pimeroni with lots of RGBs? Display driver stuff. Do you have a photo? Neat. There you go. Definitely has other cool stuff. Bug reports, Mark McGukin? Excuse me, McGukin. Easiest way to get it onto my device. I wonder if they would be down to put this in the bundle, community bundle. I guess we want to copy it. Well, I can just copy it to the device with CP. That's fine. Yeah, let's do that. That one. That in there. Easy crypts. Copy that to the media. CircuitPy. We'll drop it in lib, I guess. It's kind of a library. I mean, it is a library. We want to import it and then call encrypt string, I think. Well, we could import encrypt string and decrypt string. That'd be easier. Let's do that. Now we go back to here. This is all attempt number 1. Number 2 is going to be from EasyCrypt import string and decrypt. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day PyCharm will be. I have to look there. Sources is going to help. I heard it. That's the other problem, I guess, or the other question. I mean, I guess I could paste that in the root. I could take these ones still. But we can just print like encrypt string, encrypt string, which we pass in the key and the string, probably, right? Key string, input string. It says actually IV string also. Copy their IV string for now. String is key, but string is imp. IV string. What does IV string do? There's 2 keys or something? What is that for, I wonder? I don't know the basics of AES. I don't really know what it's, how it works or why it works or why it's like that. It's interesting. There's another string though. What happens if you don't pass it? It just uses empty string maybe? Why is that mad? Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's actually put that encrypted. Put a little break in there. decrypted key encrypted IV encrypted. And I import name. String is the full word. That's fair. And I just did not say it out loud, but made a pact with myself that if I had to run this any more times, I was going to come in here and rename the file so that I don't have to type as much. So of course, that means after we fix this last thing, it's going to be done. Then I'm going to want to rename it back. But make a pact with yourself. You gotta follow through. That is. Object with buffer protocol 41 decrypt string. Nice. Okay, so we do have to run it one more time at least. So we did that. Oh, I passed the yeah. That's the function. A little difficult, I guess. Nice. Cool. Okay, so we're going to encrypt our JSON file with this. But our key is going to be what? Our key is should the key be a flag? Yeah, let's do the key as a flag, I think. Is there, like, what would that be considered, having the key stored insecurely? The cryptographic failure, I think, is them. Graphic failures. Data exposure, certainly. Yeah, hard-coded password. Yeah. I don't know how strong or weak AES is, but that's what we have access to. Default, but we are kind of leaking the key that we're using. Reused. This part would be true. Yeah, this is also kind of true. It's not technically a repo, but it leaks into a visible place in the code in the files. And I don't think I did use cryptographic failures before as a flag, so let's do that. Can I fit that in 16 bytes? How many letters is this? "22 characters, too many." Okay, so let's gonna go crypto failures. That's 14. I'd like to be able to put brackets and the ironically enough, I was using a hashtag, which is kind of a comment. "16 characters. Sure that still works. Cool. And then this should be different, I think, right? Because our key is different. Yeah. And then IV string. I'm a little unclear on that part. What is IV string? So this says this is used os.urandom. How that can be any size or? Readable buffer initialization vector used for CBC or CTR mode. Initialization vector. You have to use the same one every time? I kind of assume, probably. Starting variable. Input to cryptographic primitive. What happens if you don't pass it? Or use an empty string? Wait a minute. Oh, okay, but that's this function, right? Encrypt string. Or put none? None. Buffer protocol required. Thing is, I don't really want a thing that acts like a secondary key in this case. I don't necessarily want the user to have to find. Don't pass here. I thought that code in the docs did not have that. That was AESIO directly, not the library, but. So now I'm passing empty string, but it's going to ignore it. Or I mean, it's going to do some stuff with it, but it's not going to pass it to AES constructor here. There we go. That's what we want. We don't really want that secondary key in our case. Probably makes it less secure, obviously, but kind of our goal. I don't want it to be too hard. This is also, I think, like, I imagine this as kind of like level 0. I have ideas for more difficult ones as well. So we do get a chance to say, so we're going to store the key in a file next to it, which is then going to be found. Do we want to store the key in plain text, or should we do any of that kind of scrambling? Like, I think we go probably plain text again because it's wanting to be level 0 in this case. Like, I think the goal with the scrambling ones is more so in the code file. So that way somebody looking in the code file and just finding a, what I think of as a view, but a handler for an endpoint, and they just look at it and it says response and there's a flag right there, right? Like, I think that's what I would like to make a little bit harder, but the key for the database is actually going to be unwisely stored on the server in a place which makes it accessible to a user who logged in as admin. Admin account's not secured very well either, so our player, the user who's on this flag adventure, is going to find it. So we're gonna, I don't need any of this stuff. This didn't end up getting used. I'm gonna delete all of this. I'm gonna make a new file called key. Maybe should we call it EB key? Even less subtle about it. Almost want to write it with Python because we want the bytes of the file, I think, not the string like ASCII. Key, should we do .text or no? That's a byte string. So I do think we want write bytes and then close, and then let's see what that gives us. Okay. That goes into there. And then I want to change EDB a little bit. So I think we can, let's keep it. I don't know, I have a bad habit of trying to keep old versions, but we'll do it. Next version, we want to not use that, not have the key be hard-coded. Technically, we want the yeah, okay. Let's make another one on CPython on the PC. Let's make encrypt DB on the PC rather than the microcontroller. And in fact, I'm going to put this in the repo for the project. I have easy crypt. Oh, though. Paste it now. We want to open the database file, which is inside of CTF static. That one, we want to open that as bytes, probably. Once we have it read, we want to encrypt it. We need the key, which we need to read from the file. does want the third thing. I have the modified easy crypt as well. What's the license on it? I wonder if they would entertain a PR to make the IV string optional slightly more. Perhaps with like additional warnings that tells you shouldn't do that. So that is our encrypted. We're going to want to write that to a new file. Well, wouldn't be JSON, I guess, but call it text. And we're aiming for level 0 here, so I want the person to be able to know that they can open it in a text editor. Also, this would make it load in the browser successfully as well, although JSON would too. JSON would probably mess it up. Only for me, I guess, because I have a, not only me, but anybody who has a plugin that tries to prettify the JSON some. Okay. We open the file, we want to be that as read bytes, we want to read it into, no, what am I doing? We want to be write bytes, obviously, because we're making the new file. We want to write the encrypted, we want to close it. That should make our new encrypted JSON version of the file. You think maybe this one is not up to date? Yeah, we want to get the latest version from the device. Added some more stuff in the database. In fact, we should probably just copy everything again. Yeah. And delete these. These did not end up being. Have our DB key, and then yeah, we've got all sorts of other pages. Hopefully these are all like stuff I want. That was newer. Notes doesn't necessarily need to be checked in. This got updated with new stuff. Profile? Because the link got fixed to home. Okay, yeah, that's all good stuff. I'm gonna commit it right now, but not run program. Such file or directory. Yeah, well, that's because Python 3.9 does not exist. Problem right there. Frankly, it'd be nice if we could get out of the habit of trying to assume we want to use Python 3.9 since noted. I don't have AESIO because that's a CircuitPython thing. I guess I thought it was easier to find. It's kind of like a couple of lines of code to decrypt it. I mean, others may when websites break basic functionality of computers, like copy paste, for instance. It is doing the hexalify thing again. We could skip printing it. I think we don't need that. I want to write file. Secret we already had, and our IV we don't really want it to use, right? That's how we any equals none. Text is actually not this, but the data. We write the hexalify ciphertext. Maybe I'll drop a it's tricky though. Yeah, maybe we'll drop like a decrypt db Python file in that static files directory as well for the user to find. They don't have to write their own decryption code. I do want to decrypt it on the PC if I can, because it's just easier to write the file, right? Like with CircuitPython, if I could encrypt it there, but then I would have to copy paste it or something to get it into the file. I don't know if the bytes would work correctly or whatever. Such file. Yeah, that's fair. It's inside the folder. Good lazy host DB. File with a bunch of stuff in it now. So if we take that and we put it in static, and we decrypt it on CircuitPython. So I'm actually going to make new file edb instead of edb. And I'm going to take a second. Already had E, we're going to read out of the file. IV, we're not using. Input, we're going to read out of the file. Encrypted, we're not doing. Encrypted, I guess, is actually this, but ours is going to be from one of these actions right here. That's going to be from the CTF encrypted. We want to read that as bytes. Encrypted f.read, close that back up. We want to read the key as well. So we read the key into key, we read the data into encrypted. Say decrypted is decrypt string. And we want to go shoot for the moon here and say we are expecting that decrypted data to be JSON. So if it works correctly, we should also be able to go JSON loads. Unicode error. Maybe I shouldn't have checked this out. Error 53. Decode. Byte array doesn't turn back into a string properly. So let's make sure the key. One thing we should do is encrypt it on the device and then see if we get the same output for the hexalified. version? Maybe we're not using the same stuff? CTR? Read the decrypted version. Read the key. Call encrypted on it. Print the encrypted. Do anything else for now. It's like object is required. 50. No. It's already hexylified, right? Encrypt string does already does that. Definitely different though. This is 123D66. So I guess we probably do want to encrypt it on the microcontroller and use that one. And that's what's going to be decrypting it. So what I don't know though is if I just copy this, am I going to get like this file going to be correct? Nice. Loaded, and we got the well, this one's byte array, and then we got the JSON as well here. It's loaded successfully too. So we definitely decrypted it successfully. Otherwise, our JSON would most likely fail. I guess it's not impossible that it could have broken in a way that was still valid, but. Okay, so what we'll do is we will. Do we have pprint? And you could copy it from here, I guess. Let me take the encrypted DB and put that back in repo. And this because that didn't end up working. I mean, it worked, but we couldn't decrypt it, so it didn't really work. And then the actual plain text one should not be in the static anymore. We don't want that. That can be in the repo for our CTF, but does not need to be on the device, or not need to be on the device. The clear text one will not be part of the CTF anymore from the player's perspective. One thing we will still need is the code that does the decrypting. So I left, well, I didn't actually do it yet. What we want to do is take a copy of DDB. Actually, let's take both EDB and DDB. If I do them one at a time, I can rename them as I paste them. So we'll leave that in the static files for the player to find. And then I think encryptDB, I will actually put, that'll be the same thing. We don't need to have that one in the files. We can just have it in the repo. All right, and then I will be right back. Okay. Should probably make a commit soon. I did modify EasyCrypt, so we kind of need to have our modified one the repo. However, it does not have its own license with it. What I'm gonna do is grab the header from that. How do we do the headers in CircuitPython code? There we go. Put it under MIT. And then I'll link the project as well. Okay, we almost certainly have an out-of-date code file, so let me copy code, the device, and put it into here. Save that. What are we looking at? Where's the file response? I got rid of the cookie on the index. Password, this It's all stuff from yesterday when we were doing login. I made that admin. I do want to mention /admin somewhere. I think let's put that in the do it in the repo, and then I'll copy it to the device. Let's put that on the, I think, in the comments. Some stuff hidden in the comments on the home page. I think what I'll do is let's put a commented out link to /admin. That's what I want to do, because basically admin, it's like a breadcrumb that helps the user. They find it and it's actually not active anymore. It tells them it's not active, but it has links, or not actually links, but URLs to some other stuff. What's wrong, browser? Let's put it up here by login. Let's put like a commented out old /admin link. Maybe we'll do something to make it look like it was also hidden for only visible for only admins or something. And okay, actually I have another one here. In fact, I left a nice commented out one conveniently. Hey, whoa. What's yesterday's? Already working on fixes and improvements. Nice. Oh, for set cookie? Nice. Yeah, I was gonna ask, or I was gonna make an issue at some point once I had a better kind of like way to word it. That's cool. Yeah, thanks. Admin. So this one will be href/admin. Then let me see what else I put. Did I put anything else in the notes? That notes file. Is that in the repo? Oh, the redirects. That was the other one. Yeah. Forgot about the redirects. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I did ever add anything more than that. Those are the only ones I had. Let's see here. Okay, so admin is, let's see, where do we want to go? We were linking to admin. That's inside index. Already go back to here. So inside index, we added that link, but we want it to be I do want it to be commented out. I took the comments out, but actually do want that to be and then I'll do one more thing. I'll do like a maybe class admin visible, and then in our style we'll make that say display none. So even if it was uncommented, it would not be visible. And then the idea is like maybe there would be some scheme that would change the CSS based on the isAdmin cookie or something. Obviously that's not a secure scheme, but lazyhost.com, what are you going to do? So we'll say .admin visible. Call that display none. The idea being the server or something would have set it to display show or block or something, whatever it's supposed to be, if the user was admin. But it's commented out and that functionality is not actually on the page anywhere. It's just like if it was, that's kind of how we think it might be implemented from the player's perspective. Whoa. For one thing though, I updated that on the repo, but not to the device. Let me paste it to the device, and then I'll need to, I guess it's probably sitting in the REPL. That's why we got web workflow. Yeah. Because we have to rerun it anyway, otherwise it's not going to work. Then there would be like an admin one here. It would be an admin one here, but it's commented out. I'll also maybe put a little thing, maybe let's say, one of the cool things is because we only modified the HTML, not the CodePy, we don't actually have to refresh. We don't have to refresh like the code. We don't have to Control-C, Control-D, but we can just refresh the browser and get the latest version, which is cool. Okay, cool. So now they have a breadcrumb that leads to admin/admin. Which when they get there, well, it does ask for the login. Actually, you do have to be logged in. Okay. Get a page not found, and you get a couple of crumbs that lead you to some other interesting stuff, and you get a flag. Okay. Another thing I still need to do is the delete all. We have the API docs linked from anywhere? Yeah, you can find them because if you go to files, you get a flag here as well. This page would make you log in too, but I already logged in, so it stored it. Basic login, that is, like with the old school alert pop-up. There's also the login scheme that's under this login button, which is a more like new school style of login where it's going to send a post request. And then the back end is what does the authentication, not like basic auth. You know, I guess basic auth does in the back end also, but. So in here, there's developer API, so you'd be able to find that. Should we have any other crumbs that lead to the developer API? I think we should. How about when you're logged in to the admin using this login scheme? It does use the same password. So when you're logged into this, what if we had a thing here that linked to the API docs, but only if you are the admin? Since you're like, as the player, you're expected to find this page. Need to fix the logo here eventually as well. Maybe I should just make that the same logo as the index. Let me do that real fast. That'll be super quick. That is on the profile. I do the whole navbar brand, all of that stuff. Some of that might be more specific to. Actually, it already has navbar brand. This wants a slash for some quick Reverse static file related reasons. Why does it have a border? Get rid of the border? Image, index. Not on index. Oh. Here. I guess I don't know what the original logo was. Maybe it looked better with a border. This should link back to index, I think. Slash in our case. Cool. Yeah. So when you're logged in, and I don't have persistence, so you just have to log in again. But, you know, it's a janky site. What are you going to do? Interestingly, the basic auth does persist automatically, but the more advanced post auth does not persist. Well, it does persist. It just doesn't bother to check its persistence to see if it should ask you again or not, and shouldn't, but it does. So I should link this to the theme, like I did on all the other pages. But I also want to get my dev. Well, so let's do that. It's 2 of these, so let's add another one. /developer API.html. It's really more of like developer docs. I mean, it's API, I guess. It's an API for delete. Developer API. Should we say maybe API docs? Okay, and then we want to only show that for the admin. But I'm also not above doing that poorly. So why don't we do something like we did on the home page, where we could have .admin visible, and that's going to say display that, not valid CSS, as the page has very helpfully pointed out for us. But what we're going to do is when we render profile, Michael, if you're still around, another thing that I've been thinking about more with this project is template rendering. I don't know if you have thoughts on, like, if you think that's a thing that lives maybe inside of HTTP server or an add-on thing that's a separate library, or if you have any ideas or thoughts on like how template rendering could work. But I'm kind of like going Django Lite style with this, where I'm putting these in here and then doing some replace in the Python code, but a more kind of just better overall way to do that more dynamically might be kind of nice. Kind of faking it with this is like, you know, the spaces would break it and stuff, right? Like if this was this, it wouldn't work anymore, stuff like that. Even if we didn't have full-on like Jinja for loops and logic and all that stuff, I think it'd be cool maybe to have super basic key value swap that was a little bit more forgiving with things like spaces and stuff like that. So on profile, when we do our replacements, which is convenient, we're already doing replacements, so we're going to say this equals admin visible. We want to replace that with admin visible value is going to be, so it's on display, so it's going to be none. Display none if username is not Actually, hold on. Let's not do username. Let's do, we have isAdmin inside of our data set. We go database user, database object users username. It won't be files though. It'll be isAdmin. If user's username is admin, so if not, so let's go if not. Actually, those are those? Are booleans. Okay, yeah, so we want, yeah, is if not, that's not true, then we show none. Else it would be display block. I think that should work, but obviously block is not just like word in Python, so that in a string, and it's not JavaScript, so let's get rid of that. And then that's what we're gonna swap in right here. And it will be display none or display block. We did edit CodePy, so I have to restart. And I am currently on admin, so if I refresh, it should be visible. It should be explicitly on display block. Oh, actually I didn't put the class on it, so yeah. Class admin visible. Oh, that was actually static change. I didn't need to restart, but I did anyway. If I refresh here, it will actually refresh the page too, but I do need to go find the page. I have API docs. Is it the right class? Admin visible. And it should be on display block. Oh, interesting. So tabs li overtook it. I wonder if that's going to happen for display none. This should be, I don't know how specificity, which way it goes. I feel, isn't a single class should be more specific? I don't know. We'll see. So let's log in a different user. So let's go back here, log in. We can go, I don't know any other user passwords off the top of my head. Sally has a really good password. Oh, right. Yeah, I did this cowboy player. Vaughn. Trevon. Uh-oh. Oh, that's interesting. I guess it did overtake it. Our specificity is not good enough. We need to use important. Yeah, display none. It got overwritten. That is so weird to me, though. Why, though? Because it's in index, right? It's in the same file. It's not a separate file. I thought that made it higher. And also, it's directly on a class rather than a class and then a child. I thought direct to a class would be more specific. Really, all this proves is I don't know much about CSS as I thought. Should we put important in the thing we're substituting in also? Is that wrong? Needs another semicolon or something maybe? Import rant. Okay, now finally left. No idea what I just trying to do inspect. I don't know if the password's still there. Yep, nice. It's, must have done back, I guess. Admin visible, so that's display not important. Nice, so now you could also cheat that to get the link to the admin. Okay, so I think one of the last like bits of functionality to still implement is the code, the endpoint that is in fact documented on the API docs page, which is the /dev/delete all, which is not implemented yet. So this is kind of like, I think, what I consider like the kind of highest level flag in this particular CTF, because you need to have found a couple of pieces of information. You need to have found this page, which has it documented, and then you're going to need to, it's one of the few things, in fact, perhaps the only thing where you really, you're better off leaving the browser, in my opinion at least. Like using Postman or curl is going to make this part a lot easier, or maybe Burp Suite if you want to write the post by hand or something. But nothing on the pages sends this request, so you can't just alter an existing thing to do it. Or I mean, I guess you could try to cheat like maybe the login form. Be a lot of work in JavaScript to try to do it from the login form, but curl or Postman will make it very, very easy to do this one. But it's the only one where it's like, in my mind, easier to do outside the browser than anything else. So, plus you are going to need to find the API token, which means you are going to have access to I should do the old append slash thing. You're going to need to have access to admin files, this page here, which is going to give you... Oh no, yeah, it's even harder actually. It's even harder. You don't get it here because it's a hidden file. So what you will have need to done is you'll need to have actually been logged in. You'll need to have been logged in here and get the hint of env. I guess the other place you can get that hint is down here. Tells you about this env file. But you will then need to put a couple of things together because this page does not list the env file. You could surmise maybe that's because it's hidden, like .env represents a hidden file. But what you need to do is there's a local file inclusion vulnerability here. And you need to get your .env file this way. This has your API token in it. Once you have your token, then that is what you can send as authentication here in order to be able to use this delete all. So you need to, this is kind of the final, the boss battle of this CTF, basically. Like, you need to have put together several things, found the local file inclusion, guessed at the fact that there would have been an env file there for you to find, got the password from it or token, and then put that in and sent your own post request. And then what this will do is return the last flag to you and maybe some other stuff. So we want a /, it will be a new one of these. actually instead. We're gonna go, actually, we're gonna make different auths for this one. The rest of the auths use both basic and bearer, but we're gonna make a strict auths that does only the token auth. No idea which one of those I copied. There it is. Okay, should have changed the name of it before I scrolled away. Dev slash delete all. Delete all. Oh, dev slash delete all. There we go. This is meant to be like a API only used for developers when they're like iterating, running locally. They could wipe the database, which is kind of handy sometimes, but obviously not a thing you would want to happen in production, but what are these? Okay, delete all, dev, delete all, request, auths. That will be our strict auths. Strict auths. I think let's return JSON response. I don't remember how to do that. You know it needs to be imported. JSON response. JSON response. Data. Request data star. Request data. So let's say our data is success true. I always like to do this for APIs, is have a success true false, and if success is false, then I would also have error equals this is the reason it failed, but not too specifically, hopefully. In our case, we're only going to be returning if success is true. There is no success false. Basically, the failed authentication, that is the only way you could fail, and it will already return, I think, a 401 or something for us. So if we make it to here, we're going to get success true. We are going to give them a flag. I think that I want this flag to be kind of a cheeky reference to the old movie Hackers. I don't remember how he spells his name in there, but I think the kid in that movie goes by Zero Cool. And then I'm gonna say we're also going to leave them with valid JSON for one thing, so that'll be happy. We're going to leave them with kind of a really learn more, I guess. Let's just say message. Should I call it the final flag? I mean, the thing is, like, it's not necessarily strictly enforced the order of finding the flags. This one I considered the most difficult. And this one you do have to put together a few different things where you would have also found flags for other reasons. So, like, there are a few that have to come before this, theoretically, but not all of them. There are lots that you could find. I mean, I say lots. There are a handful that you could find. Technically, you could find after this if you kept looking. They're like, you know, side quests, so to speak. They're not gating for this, but you could still find them. So do we want to call it the final flag, or do we want to call it, like, maybe we could just call it the boss flag? Is that a thing? I mean, we can make it a thing, right? Go one word. I feel like boss flag sounds cooler one word. Congratulations on finding the boss flag. Let's give him some ta-da emoji, I think, action. Isn't there, was there, that's in the new one. I need to update my PyCharm. I think they put an emoji keyboard in there, and that's almost worth it. Just for that reason to me. Is it like that? Oh, maybe it's in there. Oh, it's in there. Look at that. How did I, okay, hold on. What is that? I need to learn to use, double shift is really helpful. Double shift, I'm used to using it to finding stuff in my code, but it actually can find, like, settings and commands and everything. So what is this? Control Alt? I'm never gonna remember that. Okay. Action. Congratulations on finding the boss flag. Say, let's word this differently. Let's say many of okay. So now we need to send our post, which I will test from the repo. Let me update CodePy again in the repo. I probably should have made a commit a while ago. Maybe we should have and utils would include encryptdb. Also unencrypted database. Utils, I'm imagining this is stuff that's not needed on the CircuitPy drive, basically. This one should be inside static. Yeah, there. Actually, this one should be deleted. This one got created on the PC, and it ended up being different. We want the one that was created on the device, because that's the one it can decrypt. encryptdb. And in fact, we should just delete encryptdb. Actually, yeah, I shouldn't even move it to here. I don't need, yeah, we don't even want. Well, no, that's not true. Hold on, no, that's not true. We do want that. It runs on the device, run on CPython on the device, but you would copy it in, like, the user wouldn't use this necessarily. The player that captured the flag would not use it for anything. So I'm going to make also inside of utils, I'm going to start with an HTTP thing inside here because it's convenient. We're going to say test delete all, or I'll call it actually post delete all. Post dev delete all authorization or authentication. Wrong in the docs. Just remember the docs. I have a bunch of these already in the, let's look. Pixel test. Yeah, docs. Wrong. Post with an A. Spell it that way sometimes. And bearer. Then we need the token, which we able to get from the env file. It's actually one of the few tokens that is just like a random string and not like a reference thing. I don't know why it stayed purple in the well, purple, white, and then this is green. I wonder if the hashtag messed it up. Guess we need that. And then we're not actually posting any information. In our case, we're just sending a post request. Work is unreachable. 92168. Add request. Request. I returned a JSON. Oh, we need to do methods post. Have like an out of date. Login. Let's just set a date. We called so it looks like so we could post like that and then Technically, that's probably good enough to... Yeah, technically that's probably good enough. Save that. Let's restart. Send this again. 401 unauthorized. About this. Let's print the headers. I'm probably going to head out here pretty soon. It's working. Authorization barrier, yeah, doesn't have anything else. So I'm guessing we need to do this, but I don't know the right way to... I don't know the right way to encode that, so that hashtag might be... hashtags kind of reckon us. If I use a string, is that like... Came through with the quotes. Those aren't quotes. I mean, they are quotes. They're quotes inside the string error. Yeah. Okay. Let's say PyCharm, HTTP client, hashtag, escape. Kind of annoying. Erase it. Nice. Yeah, so I was gonna say, I wonder if the it doesn't show my show my thing here. I was gonna say I wonder if it's just not allowed to have hashtags there, but it is clearly. It's just that I don't know how to escape it so that this will actually send it and not use it as a comment identifier. Quotes that maybe. No. Oh yeah, we did, but it has bearer only. Okay. Actually, base 64 for bearer like goth. Not in the HTTP server for CircuitPython. Oh, well, I mean, it's just a string, really. It can be whatever you want. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe is that outside of spec? I don't know. It can be any string, though. So I tried this and I got the double quotes, which is not what I wanted. That double quote and not the rest. IntelliJ p client send literal hashtag in header. But individual server, yeah. Yeah, I did notice basic auth does definitely use base 64. But with the way the HTTP server library is currently in CircuitPython, it does allow any string. I used, I think the example uses hex. Try using variables. Alright, it does not look like anybody else has slain this particular demon just yet. I don't know, or at least not posted. I'm a little surprised there, but that's alright. I think eventually, I guess I could post. I don't know. I don't right. I can just use Python 1. It would be nice. I mean, I would love for them to be able to see that, though. It's kind of a bummer that didn't come through, if I'm honest, but. And then, yeah, I printed it as data instead of JSON. Maybe if we print, maybe that's how we can do it. Maybe if we do print resp.json, will that might pretty up the flag for us? Or not the flag, but the, yeah, there we go. Nice. Or how it translates. Yeah, good question. I'm not sure. Yeah, that, I mean, I think that's probably up to PyCharm and the terminal. I don't think it's necessarily like requests or anything, or even Python that's playing a factor into that, but more so PyCharm, the IDE, and then the terminal inside of it. Okay. I think I am going to call it a day on it for now. That is basically the last bit of functionality that I wanted for sure, and I think that I've got all the flags that I want hidden in it at this point. One thing that I do still want to do before I guess I would call it done is, well, a couple of things. The README, I should make a README that explains what it is and how to play. I would also like to maybe obfuscate the flags in the code a little tiny bit. We're not going super crazy, but maybe a little tiny bit of obfuscation, especially the flags that are like easy to find in the code. Things like this, where it's just a string. Like if you were to do a find on, hashtag CTF, you'd find basically all the flags really quickly with grep or get grep or something like that. So I think I would like to do maybe one quick pass of basic obfuscation on some of those, just so they're a little bit harder to find. And then that can also serve as kind of like a replay value. If you want to play it with the web analyst or web pen tester hat first, then you could also change after the fact and play it from the Python code analysis hat as well afterwards. So let me make sure I've got everything up to date in the repo and push, and then I will head out for now. So let's grab code, date code, and then I already put the posting into here, and that's the one that ended up working. I'll put this one in the repo. Maybe I can figure out how to do it eventually. I don't know, it doesn't work for now, but thanks for the stream. Interesting. Been a web dev for years, but done CTF. Maybe meant never done. I'm not sure. Yeah, never done. Yeah, I've never played one either. I've been messing some with the Try Hack Me pages, and that's what got me kind of interested in building this thing out. It's a really fun way to hone your skills. I will say also building the CTF like this has been a fun way to just make sure that I understand these vulnerabilities at kind of a deeper level. To be able to exploit it is kind of one level, and then to be able to, like, strangely enough, to be able to competently create one that is exploitable in the specific ways you want, you kind of get I did at least gain another kind of level of understanding of how they work and why they're bad and that kind of stuff. So it's been fun for me as well, and definitely a learning experience on my own too. I don't think I did update anything else on the device. I could always just copy back the full thing again. I will not keep the plain text one there. We don't want that. The plain text one can live over in utils. It's one of the things that doesn't need to be on the device. I put decrypt db there. All right, let's commit that. So many things. All right, take it easy, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend, Sunday, wherever you are at. I will see you around. I will be back on Friday. I'm filling in for Scott for Deep Dive this week, and then I'll be back next weekend as well on Saturday for my stream. So I will see you then. Take it easy. Thanks for watching, and I will bid you farewell for now.